Welcome to the Moon podcast. Your host, as always, here, Josh Lander, taking us all through this fun and weird, crazy ride that continues to change pretty frequently and consistently. As for today's show, I'm going to have my buddy Oliver back on, a guy who has, as I mentioned on the last time he was on, an account with an ROI and total value in the top 0.2% of accounts. So he's definitely looking at ways to spend some decent money right now. And he's gonna really help us take a look at, I really want to start with some beginner stuff in terms of what am I looking at when I'm buying a card. Literally take you through what is it that I should be in terms of the filters. How should I be, sorting the way that I'm looking at what's available, and making a decision based off of honestly the way that you're searching and looking and hunting for these sort of value plays for each listing that you see and might be interested in. That being said, I also want to do a little bit of the same concept with how you should be listing cards that you own. We want to make money off of this. The way to make money is you have to sell a card to someone who buys it, right? You can't liquidate these things and then just get money from Dapper and say, okay, I want to turn my cards into Dapper bucks and I want to take those Dapper bucks and cash out into my bank account or whatever. It doesn't work that way. So you're going to need people to buy these cards, which means you're going to need to be able to list them in an effective manner at the right times to get the price that you want to make money off of it. So how do you do that, and what are you considering when you do that? That'll kind of take us into a little bit of what's going on in the marketplace right now. As I record this on the 24th of March. What's going on right now with the packs that are available, the challenges that are out there. Some of those are running out. The clock's running down on those challenges, so we got to see what's that gonna do to the price as we near that deadline, that type of stuff. So I'm gonna get Ollie in here to just kind of get him going, and we can sort of bounce some stuff off of each other and see how things go from there. But Ollie, what's up, man?
What's up, Josh? How's it going?
Pretty good, dude. I was just giving everyone a brief rundown of some of the stuff I wanted to talk to you about today. But I think we can start with really right now. Things have been a little bit volatile. There's a lot of people coming in, but there's also a lot of cards dropping. So first and foremost, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Just kind of gauging the temperature of a huge Top Shot fanatic and seeing if you're still riding that high.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm riding that high, but I'm still super bullish long term. I mean, I think it's important to keep the long term perspective in mind. And over the long term, I'm super bullish, and I still believe more than ever.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know. I know that you've been in it long enough now, probably to see a bunch of fluctuations, right? Some
Yep.
big, some small, but they happen. Market is going to market. So, before we get a little bit into sort of the current events as they are, and some of the sort of temperature of the entire environment and marketplace, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of taking people through what it is that you're looking for, both when buying and selling cards, trying
Sure.
to list them, right? And I'll say it again because it's really important for people to understand. You can't take your Top Shot cards, liquidate them into Dapper Bucks, and have Dapper Labs buy them back from you, and then turn that money into cash. You need someone in the marketplace to buy them from you. Right. So there has to be some form of game theory played here so that, people are finding the right time to list their cards. How much should you list your card for? Right. That kind of thing.
Yep.
And this is stemming honestly from a conversation of a buddy of mine who was just asking me simply, how do I make money off this? Right. So
Right.
without needing to go too much into, worrying about the marketplace, buy low, sell high, worrying too much about those, factors about what's influencing the marketplace. More so when you're going to the marketplace to buy a card, right? What is, even if it's just simply, I filter it this way and scroll down and look at this by serial number, whatever. I'm just looking for a little bit of insight to offer people in terms of like how you found something that is pretty valuable or good, good value for that card and serial number, etc.
Yeah. So first of all, like with the serial number, it's a whole new paradigm to think about this, collectible thing with this lens, right? Because serial numbers aren't really intuitive, but I'll start there. So like I'll always filter for players that I really admire, that I really want in my collection. So like the LeBron Jameses, the rookies who I think have a shot at being rookie of the year now that LaMelo's out. Um, I'll just start with a filter like that, and then within each one of those, I'll look at the lowest asks serial numbers, filter from in ascending order, and I'll just take a look at what's out there. If I can see like, okay, most of these are like in the 5-digit serial numbers, right? If there's one in the 4 digits that's only like a couple bucks more, I know that's a value play right there. And you'll
Right.
usually be able to see it like right away in that list. Like oh, there's only one in the sea of 5-digit serial numbers. It's a
Right.
weird thing to think about that as like being very valuable, but in this game, it truly is. So,
Yeah.
that's like a no-brainer buy right there.
Yeah, you've got to understand the collectible aspect of things to understand why a serial number would be something that people really want, and
Right.
scarcity is a big aspect of this. So when you have scarcity, when something was made, right, that is a scarce item, it becomes relevant, especially if it's a collector's item.
Yep.
So with that in mind, yeah, I think it's important to understand too, right, when you sort things by lowest ask for what's available for that card in that filter tab, the serial number as you go down, right? Once a price changes, so you look and there's a bunch of $95 cards, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden there's a card that's $96, right? And
Yep.
that starts the run of now $96 cards that are available to buy. That is still going to be listed with the lowest serial number at the top,
Right.
right? So the
Right.
best card is going to the best serial number is going to be at the top of every single price that you might be sorting through as you go down the list. So it's important to sort of be scanning, right? Like, is 4-digit number, okay, 5-digit number, 5-digit number, 4-digit number, oh, 3-digit number, right? And just
Yep.
quick scans like that to be able to see that kind of stuff. And then honestly, I've also sort of gone a different route at times where, I'll sort everything by the serial number, and I'll just go that way. And a
Yep.
lot of times, the reason I'm doing that, to be clear, when I'm looking at something where I'm like, let me see if I can get a high serial number because I think this Cole Anthony card is being undervalued, right? So I think if the lowest ask of a Cole Anthony card is like $30, I think this card could be worth a couple $1,000s one day, especially if you have the right serial number. So I know I'm gonna hold on to it. Let me make sure I get the best serial number here, and then what I'm looking for, obviously, is now that I've sorted it by serial number, I'm looking at the prices to see what's the best bang for my buck for each serial number. Oh, I'm still in the 3 digits, and I can get it for this much. Whatever, right? That kind of understanding.
100%. There's also this balance that you have to play, right? There's liquidity versus value. Like a long-term hold, obviously you want like a very premium serial number. You're willing to sit on it. When you do want to sell it, maybe you're willing to wait like a week, a week, 2 weeks in order to get a lot of money for it. But there's also this idea of liquidity where you know, you might not be paying for like the premium of a higher serial or a lower serial number, but you're going to be able to sell your moments faster because
Right.
you're getting in at the bottom, and you're probably just going to sell them at the lowest ask. So if you're not really worried about serial numbers, I would just stick to like lowest ask
Right.
for a high quality moment that you really believe in. So
Totally. Yep.
there's
And
like
and
trade
that's a good point to sort of be able to differentiate, when I am looking for a card to buy, right?
offs.
Maybe I don't have a super solid plan laid out for what I want to buy. But I know that I have some Dapper Bucks that I want to park in a moment that I think is going to do well and that I want to own. So I go out and I find, a good card, and I do a little bit of research to see what's been some of the recent sales, right? Like, has this
Hmm.
thing been dropping or raising in terms of what people have been asking for it for the last 24 or 48 hours, whatever. And maybe I want to monitor that card. I come back to it. I find a good time to buy it. I think what you said is what, even though I don't have a strong plan for, I'm going to buy this to flip it or whatever, you should at least be thinking about one of a couple of things, right? Am I going to flip this soon?
Hmm.
Right? Do I care about this card, or I just think it's a good price for a guy that's getting undervalued right now?
Right.
Or is this a card I really want to own and that I plan on holding on to? Right?
Hmm.
And that's when you start looking at the ways that you sort the different filters and sort of prioritize serial number versus just being able to get the lowest ask, etc. And I think that's one thing that I kind of wanted to make clear too, to kind of get us into sort of listing cards as well.
Hmm.
Right? Is the conversation of you need to have someone buy the card in order to make money, which means you need to list it so someone can buy it.
Right.
So if I'm listing a card, same concept. Like, what am I looking for, and why do I feel comfortable putting it out there for the price that I put it out there? Keeping in mind, one thing for all Top Shot users to really know is if you put a card on the market as available and list it, you don't have the opportunity to say, actually, never mind, when someone decides they want to buy it. Right? They
Right.
buy it, it's theirs.
Yep.
So
That's it.
there's a little bit of caution that needs to be taken, when you're listing a card, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. So yeah, the way I would think about selling is, I have this rule for myself, just like rule number one, don't lose money. Meaning, how much you bought it for. It'll tell you, Top Shot will tell you, like you bought it for $300.
Right.
As a rule, I will never list that under $300. The exception to the rule though is there's another move I want to make, and I need to have Dapper money in order to make that move. I'll break that rule 100% of the time if I have a better strategy in my head. Like, okay,
Yep.
I want to capitalize on the fact that Anthony Edwards is going to get more attention. now that he's playing the Lakers, on national TV.
Totally.
So, I'll break that rule then. But as a general rule, one, don't lose money. But
Yep.
two, when you are deciding to list, you want to list at around the lowest ask price unless you want to unless you have a premium serial number that you want to flip for, that again, that high quality moment that you're willing to let sit on the marketplace for a little bit in order to make more profit because you
Yep.
have a premium serial number.
Yep.
But generally, you're going to be wanting to sell right around that lowest ask, or if your serial number is more valuable than what you're seeing at the lowest ask, um, just go a couple bucks above it. Or you can
Right.
even filter by the serial numbers themselves. Just see what's around your number. So let's say
Yep.
you own number 1,000. Look at what 999 is selling for. Look at what that 1,001 is selling for,
Yep.
and you want to be in that sweet spot where you're, not as much as 999, but selling for more than 1,001.
And to be honest with you, there's so much sort of variance in what users are listing their cards for.
Yeah.
I was kind of going through this little exercise with my buddy who was asking me about how to make money off Top Shot earlier. And just showing him, some things. And we were going through, let's say, like a Kyle Lowry card,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, we see serial number 500 for like $225. Go down, serial number like 660 is like $7,000, and it's like,
Yep.
he's like, why? And I go, probably because that guy doesn't know what he's doing, or gal or person. But either way, that's not smart. That's just the randomness of it. So I say that to say, yes, I will look at 999 and 1001 and all the sort of numbers in that little area, if I have serial number 1000. But honestly, especially if I have serial number 1000, I know I don't have that far to go from the lowest serial number that's being offered for that
Mm-hmm.
card. So
Right.
and there's a great tool when you go to list a card where there's a price helper button,
Right.
which really just means as soon as you hit the price helper button, it's a convenient way to not have to like back out of the screen and go back to the marketplace to see what that card's listed for. It
Right.
just shows you right there, right? So you just
Right.
click the price helper when you're going to list the card, and it'll show you what everything else is there for. I'll sort things by lowest serial number, and then go down and just see what's the lowest serial number, what's the lowest number in general for
Mm-hmm.
any of the ones before that are a lower serial number than mine,
Yep.
right? And then from there, I'll go, okay, well, if the lowest serial number before 1000 is 300 bucks for this one card, all right, I'll go 290,
Yep.
285. Like, I know I now have the best serial number with the lowest ask, for people like you and me who are hunting those serial numbers, when we're searching for cards. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
100%. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll spend like way too much time doing that sometimes. Like, okay, I have number, 2000. I will go through and look at all 1000, I'll scan it, but I'll see
Sure.
1999, however many of them are listed above me. And I'll just say, okay, I see that like, you know, 400 is the least. Okay, I see something at 390. And then I'll just keep that in my mind the entire time, like muttering to
Yep.
myself, 390,
Exactly.
390, 390. And then if,
Exactly.
eventually you'll find, okay, the lowest amount above you is 390, you're gonna list at 380, right?
Right. 100%. And the key there is, think of yourself as, the if you were the on the hunt for a card. What are the tactics, which we started off this sort of segment with? What are the tactics you're using to find the best deal, right? And if you want your card sold, you're going to need to have it stand out amongst the hundreds and hundreds of other listings, to be able to like actually have that bought. Now, that said, it also just brings up real quick to sort of finish this sort of aspect of things. The idea of, well, if I'm looking for something to flip a little bit more quickly, I don't want to care about serial number. And it's
Mm-hmm.
coming back up now as you consider listing. Why is that? Because as if I need to be patient and know that if I have a nice serial number, I don't, and the lowest ask, let's say I have serial number 500. The lowest ask is, $100, and that's serial number 11,000, 10,000. Those are way far away. I
Right.
got to get above that number, right? Because I've got a way better serial number. But that means that when people, once again, are looking for cards, right? And I list mine for $500 at the serial number 500, right? That's $200 more than the lowest ask.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that likely that people are going to be going in there and finding my serial number right away. I have to have some patience that
Right.
that card is going to be found eventually for someone who's like looking for a little bit of a long-term play as well with a serial number. Flippers, you can flip in hours, dude, right now, right?
Yep.
But with these serial numbers where you're not trying to flip, there's a little bit of a different play, right? And we can see that by both looking at listing and selling, what some of those strategies look like.
Yeah. Right. 100%.
For sure. So switching gears a little bit, I'm kind of wondering, Do you have any sort of outlook on what's going on in this marketplace? I will tell everybody that in the last sort of like 3 weeks, as we're shooting this, there's been nothing really but a dip, a few little up and downs, but steady decline with a few drops, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, you know, I've had my own theories for sure, but I'm just wondering, where are you at with why that's happening? And even though we continue to see a ton of transactions, more buyers, more people coming into the marketplace. What do we do with that information that we're still sort of seeing things dropping? And maybe why is that?
Yeah. So I think this is the first. It's not the first version of it, but we're seeing like an oversupply of moments. There's a little bit of a with 35,000 of the latest minted moments. There's going to be a lot of different places that people can park their money. So there's an oversupply. That's one thing. Two is they've been limiting signups for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, with not enough new users coming in, there's not going to be a lot of buying pressure driving the prices up. Third is we're starting to see some people getting withdrawal ability. And
Mm-hmm.
so some people who have been in this game a long time are going to be pulling their money out. I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be healthy for people overall to have withdrawing ability in the long term. But I
Sure.
think it's a combination of all these things. The hype has died down a little bit, but, and a lot of people have come in just for a quick flip. So you'll notice
Mm-hmm.
like most people are only holding a handful of moments.
Yep.
And that's only because they required 3 moments for the latest pack drop.
Right.
There's data that shows that a lot of people are just holding 3 moments, and they're just kind of using those accounts to buy the packs and make a quick buck by flipping. Um,
And to be honest, I think there's also some people in there that don't even know what they're doing when they get the pack.
yeah,
Right.
100%.
Like bless my buddy's heart who was asking me about this. Like he had no idea what to do with the pack. He got a Cool Cats pack. He had an RJ Barrett card that was serial number, like, I swear to God, it was like serial number 520 or whatever.
Wow,
Of, like, I think it's
wow,
15,000 of those, or 10,000, whatever the Cool Cats pack is for those.
yeah,
And he had no idea what to do with it. And so I had to take him through some of it. And I think there's a lot of people that are in that same place where they bought the 3 cards, then they got the pack, now they have 8 cards. They're just sitting on them. They don't know what to do with them. So, to be honest, I'll use a quick analogy. I don't know if anybody or if you watched Survivor ever, but
mhm,
there, on that show, there's a way to play the game and there's a way to just not play the game. You could sort of just try to, like, not participate and see if you can just be this vulture that pecks and gets little things here and there, or you can be
mhm,
an active participant in the marketplace and buy and sell things, which is the purpose of this, and make moves without being fearful, that you're going to be able to make some money with the plays that you make, right?
yeah. That's right. How are you navigating this so far? How's it going?
I mean, honestly, like, I texted you the other day. I had to take a loss on a card,
Okay.
and that was, and it's a good example of what I learned, which is new cards are going to come into the marketplace. So there is going to be some unexpected things. And the reason I say that is I was scared to buy or sell cards for fear of, well, there's so many users coming in, I don't want to sell because I'm going to regret it. I can tell you right now that what I regret more than anything is buying something at the wrong time and selling and having to sell it for much less, knowing that it wasn't ever going to get back up to that peak. That feels way worse, right?
Yeah,
Than when I sold a card that I thought I sold too early, but I made profit. You can never be upset when you make profit, right?
100%.
And that was
Yeah.
what you're saying. And I got a little trigger happy too. I just wanted a LeBron card, and I didn't realize, once again, there's going to be another LeBron coming in. Then LeBron's going to be the challenge reward for this other card, right? There's going to
Yeah.
be things that drive him down, even though he's, the king. He's not indestructible to having his card drop when other things that come into the marketplace impact it. So do
Yeah.
you have any sort of examples similar to that one, where maybe you had to take a loss, or you realize, like, look, I'm going to sell this now because I'm just going to get the profit because I want to use that money or just cash out or whatever, right? Like,
Perfect
what's sort of
example.
been your
Yeah.
experience there?
Same thing. LeBron. I wanted to own as many LeBrons as possible. I aped in a little bit, and I bought two of the no look three LeBrons at $1,900. And if you look at the marketplace now, they're less than 1,000, and I sold
I
them
know
for
how much
less than
they
a
are.
thousand too. Um, but the consolation with it was I was selling them in order to kind of upgrade a little bit. So I sold two of them, and I was able to flip them for one in the 3-digit range. So again, it's just kind of like I'm not going to be able to flip that for a while, but I think I'm sitting on some value that long term will pay off. I love that
Yep.
moment so much. It's
Yep.
iconic in
Yep.
my mind as a Lakers
The
fan and
turnaround.
a LeBron
Yeah.
fan. So um,
It's
yeah,
huge.
but that also reminds me, like, one of the most important things about this is kind of knowing when to time your buys, right? I
Yeah.
think it's really important to think about the psychology of what happens when packs drop. When
Yep.
packs drop, sellers are going to be opening their packs and flooding the market with more supply. Hey, I don't
Yep.
want this. I'd rather have the Dapper balance. So if you're just sitting on Dapper ahead of time and you know that there's going to be a pack drop, that's when you go on your sniping frenzy and just buy the moments you've been eyeing for a while. Buy the
Yep.
LeBrons that I'm selling for a panic, or that Josh is selling for a panic, right?
Yep.
It's just how, it's a good
100%.
thing to keep in mind.
100%. And that's, there was a little bit of a fear at the beginning that there weren't enough players in this marketplace for me to be able to, have someone to take advantage of, or there's not going to be enough buyers, or if we're all just sharks trying to snipe stuff in here, then how is there ever going to be a deal? It's like, no, there's enough people, right? Upwards close to, let's say, six figures worth of people at this point, right?
Yeah.
100,000 or around there, let's say. That's enough people that, like, I consider myself good at this. I've made good money at this point, in the early stages. I still made a play that I lost money. And so anybody who's good or bad or whatever is going to have a moment that they mess up or whatever for unforeseen reasons. And that's a little bit of the beauty of it all is it helps you be tempered, but it also helps you realize, like, if you don't want to get burned, you got to be prepared when you're going in, and also just accept that you will be burned sometimes, and also accept that when you have profit, you're good, man. That's the point of this, right?
Yeah,
Those are some key things to remember. So
exactly. And have fun along the way. It's a game,
totally.
it's a fun
Totally.
game.
Totally. And the last thing I'll say to that point that it's fun and it's a game is they've done such a great job, Dapper Labs, of fixing things where it used to be so frustrating to try to buy or sell a moment. Man, it was
Yeah.
brutal, right? Like, you think you've got the card, you don't got the card.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? And so really, at this point, the tempered transactions, sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's every 15 minutes. We have to wait 15 minutes between each transaction you can make to buy a card. You can list or delist a card pretty much whenever you want. Sometimes it's a minute. It's like it's great now. I don't have to, like, bum rush things and be freaking out and hitting the refresh button and
Right.
whatever. Right? It's a lot
Right.
more adequate. So you noticed a little bit of anything there that's really, like, been helpful to you, in terms of how they tweaked it or made changes. Like, you noticed that as well, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, like I think the best part is exactly what you touched upon, where you think you get an incredible deal, and you think you're the one who owned it and saw it first, and then you get this email that says Dapper Labs, couldn't process your payment, and you get the failed notification in the corner, and it's just the most frustrating thing when you think that you're constantly winning and you keep on being told, oh, actually you haven't. So
Precisely.
it's great to have that kind of removed now.
Totally. Awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna let it wrap us up basically for now. This was a fun time for sure. I'm gonna continue to monitor this stuff with you, and surely have you back on in the near future. But I don't know, any parting thoughts for where you're at right now with Top Shot?
Yeah, just keep calm and enjoy the game. That's it.
Perfect. Awesome, dude. All right, appreciate it, Ali. I'll let you go, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. See you, Josh.
See you, man. Cool. All right. That is all the time we have for today. Nice long one for you guys. Please jump in the comments, like and subscribe to the video. Hit me up on Twitter at JLBoogie. Definitely down to talk Top Shots whenever you guys are looking for. Make sure you are checking out the Coast to Coast podcast as well, brought to you by the Lines and Play Picks. And we'll get out of here today with just hoping that we take this thing to the moon.